Nashville Noir Chapter 24, The Last Chapter. Alicia had been having an affair with Marka, I said. He always did, have a weakness for platinum blondes, Lindy said. She was furious when he put all his efforts into Sally Prentice. Alicia had expected that she'd be chosen to be his next country star. She'd gone to Marker and Whitsun to confront him. Didn't she know that Cindy was there? Lenny asked. No, she didn't. Alicia used the door from the parking lot and the back stairs to go up to his office. When Marker told Alicia he wasn't interested in her anymore, he was already making plans to seduce his latest protagi. She went into a rage, grabbed the Country Music Awards award off his desk as he walked away and swung it at his skull, knocking him out. As you know, he died later from his injuries. Lainey shook her head. I tried to tell my nephew that Alicia was a bad seed, a liar and a user, but he wouldn't listen, had a real crush on her. And just as you suspected, Mrs. Fletcher, Detective Biddle put in, we found the key to that back door in her possessions. Apparently, Marker gave all his girlfriends a key, but his wife didn't have one. That's why she always left her car out front at the fire hydrant and collected all those parking tickets. How did Wally get involved in all this? Jamal asked. When Alicia realized what she'd done, she ran out, I said, according to Wally. She called him in a panic. He told her to sit tight and he'd think of something. When Cindy showed up at his door, Biddle added, he called Alicia back and told her to relax. He had the perfect way to get her off the hook. Let Cindy take the rap, since she rightly guessed that we were already looking for her. If Cindy hadn't run from the scene, I said, she might never have been arrested. Once she did, however, she chose exactly the wrong man to run to. He had told me he encouraged her to go to the police, but Cindy swears he scared her silly, telling her the police would never believe her, that she had better lie low until he could figure out a way to get her out of town. And all the while he was just trying to make her look more guilty, Lenny said. And then he went and ratted her out, huh? Yes, I said. He was the one who told the police where she would be that morning. How did you know that, Jessica? Our sheriff back home, Mort Metzger, had told me a man had tipped off the police as to her whereabouts. The police had a photo of Cindy, but it was never published in the newspaper. I checked all the previous day's papers my first morning in Nashville. The only one who knew the police were looking for Cindy and knew where she would be that morning was Wally. I wish she hadn't been afraid to call home. Oh, Janet, I said. She was afraid for herself but worried more about your health. She knew if she called home, you know immediately that something was wrong. You could always tell by the sound of her voice. And if she told you the truth, that she was suspected of assault, later murder, and was being sought by the police, she feared it would trigger a heart attack or worse. There were 5 of us sitting around the table. Detective Biddle had arrived first. Then Laney Granger and Jamal Washburn came in. Finally, I joined them, bringing Cindy's mother, Janet Blaskowski's, thrilled that her daughter had been exonerated. She had accepted an offer from the committee Kabuka of Mayor Jim Sheplin headed up to raise money for Cindy's defense. The committee insisted Janet use some of the contributions to fly down to Nashville for her daughter's singing debut at the Bluebird Cafe. The remainder of the funds would go to Kabukov's Cares, the arts organization that had funded Cindy's trip to Nashville. What happened to Alicia? Janet asked. I can't help feeling sorry for her, even though she did a terrible thing. She didn't get far, Biddle replied. My guys picked her up about a mile away, sitting in a truck, crying hysterically. She spent the night in a hospital psych unit before we took her to be booked. She's now at the same women's jail facility where Cindy stayed. I'm guessing she'll plead contemporary insanity. So are you going to charge Wally? Lenny asked Biddle. He raised his hand and counted on his fingers. Let's see, he said. We're holding him on aiding and abetting accessory after the fact, pre-juring for lying to authorities, and the list goes on. A colleague of mine has been assigned to his case, Jamal added. From what I hear, they're working on a plea bargain in exchange for his testimony against Alicia. Poor Wally, Lenny said. His popularity with the girls was his undoing. Poor Wally, my foot, I said. He was the one who recognized how good Cindy's song was and brought it to Sally Prentice. He wanted to get her on her good side, so she insisted on having him play on her recording. You mean it wasn't Marco after all? Janet asked. Oh no, he shares plenty of the blame, I said. At Wally's suggestion, Sally pushed Marco to give her this song and a minute of co-writing credit. Marco was eager to please his swiftly rising star, so he conceded to everything she asked. They all got what they wanted. Sally the song, Wally got the CD gig, and Marco got murdered, Bitter put in. Yes, I said, and he didn't deserve that. Not that anyone ever does. But before he jolted Alicia, he managed to get Sally Prentice's signature on a marker in Whitson contract, which I'm betting his partner is very happy about, even though Sally won't be singing Talking Through the Tears on her album. She won't? No. She came to the conclusion with a little encouragement that the song was bad luck for her. She gave it back to Cindy. There was some thumping on the sound system, and we looked over to see a man with a long gray beard tied like a ponytail, waving at the musicians. They sat in a ring of folding chairs at the center of the room, facing each other, a microphone in front of each one. 3 songwriters holding guitars were performing this night, and 3 other musicians, a bass player, a young woman on a fiddle, and a fella sitting on a cajon, a box-like drum, were accompanying them. There was only one empty seat in the house, and it was at our table. We can't talk during the music, Lindy said. House rules. I've had enough talking to last me a long time, Janet said. Everyone has been asking me questions ever since I arrived. I'm ready just to listen. Just before the house lights dimmed, the last one in our party slipped into his seat. Sorry, Brian Krupp said. Got stuck over at Marilyn Walker's house doing an interview for an upcoming feature. Is she going to take over her husband's partnership in the firm? I asked. If she can get it, he replied. Her stepson is suing her for half of her share of the business. Anyone want to wager on which son would prefer to work with? Never a dull day in Music City, USA. A voice came over the sound system. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special treat tonight. A young songwriter in Nashville who's ready to make a new name for herself. There was a ripple of laughter. She's already passed one of our auditions, but was unfortunately delayed. She's ready now, and we're delighted to have her here. Please give a warm round of applause for Cindy Velasquez. I looked at Janet, who couldn't take her eyes off her eldest daughter. Blaskowski's, I whispered. Janet nodded, tears streaming down her smiling cheeks. She decided she didn't want to change her name after all, she whispered back. I'm so proud of her, as well as you should be. Cindy tapped the microphone in front of her and dipped her head. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here, she said, grinning. A little later, I'm going to sing a song I wrote that many of you have heard about, but I'd like to open up with something different. This song is not mine, but it is written for and about me by the songwriter David Stewart. It's a cautionary tale for you young country performer who comes to Music City. I hope you like it. It's called Nashville Noir. Like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Bye.